All right, let's talk about something that could genuinely change the way you make decisions. It's a framework for life, really, from one of the most successful investors ever, Ray Dalio. And these aren't just stuffy business rules. We're talking about a whole new way to look at reality itself.
Just think about that for a second. Imagine having a compass that could guide every single decision you make, not just the big, life-changing ones, but the small ones too. What would it feel like to have a proven system for dealing with, well, with reality? That's the core idea we're going to unpack today.
Now, the really interesting part about this whole system is where it came from. It wasn't dreamed up in some university classroom or from some abstract theory. Nope. It was forged in the fire of an absolutely catastrophic failure. And to get why that failure was so important, you first have to understand the success. Ray Dalio's company, Bridgewater, became the largest hedge fund in the world, managing something like $160 billion. I mean, that's just a staggering number. But he'll tell you his success wasn't because he was some kind of financial wizard. It was all about the principles.
So the whole story pivots back to the early 1980s. Dalio was young, he was successful, and he was totally sure he could predict the future of the markets. He put all his money and his clients' money on a huge market crash that just never happened. He lost everything. I mean, he was so broke he had to borrow money from his dad just to feed his family. And that humbling, painful experience changed everything. It forced him to admit he could be wrong. So he started writing everything down, every decision, every mistake, every single lesson. That was the beginning.
So what grew out of the ashes of that total disaster? Well, the answer is a set of 5 core principles that basically became his new compass for life and business.
And here they are, the big 5. Number 1. Embrace reality and deal with it. 2. Use the formula pain plus reflection equals progress. 3. Be radically open-minded. 4. Get that people are wired differently. And 5. Learn how to make decisions effectively. They might sound simple on the surface, but the magic is how they all click together.
So let's start with that first one, which is really the foundation for everything else. Dalio calls it being a hyperrealist. And all it means is you have to commit to seeing things exactly as they are, not how you want them to be. It's about facing the brutal facts, the uncomfortable truths about your situation, about yourself, about everything. And let's be honest, facing those truths can be painful, right? Of course it is, but that's kind of the whole point. For Dalio, pain isn't something you should run away from. It's a signal. It's like a blinking red light on your dashboard telling you, hey, something's wrong here. Pay attention. And that brings us right to principle number 2. And maybe the most important equation in this whole philosophy. Pain plus reflection equals progress. You see, pain is going to happen. That's a given. But if you stop and you actually reflect on that pain, figure out what really caused it, that's when it becomes your best teacher. That's how you grow.
Now, this idea of learning systematically leads straight to his 5th principle, making decisions effectively. He broke it down into this really practical 5-step loop. First, you need to have crystal clear goals. What do you want? Then identify the problems holding you back. Third, and this is so key, diagnose the root cause of the problem, not just the symptom. Fourth, design a plan to get around it. And finally, number 5, you just have to execute, get it done. And then you do it all over again, constantly getting better.
Okay, so this stuff works great when it's just you, right? But things get complicated when you bring other people into the equation. And that's where principles 3 and 4, being radically open-minded and knowing people are wired differently, get really crucial. And honestly, pretty controversial.
Take his 3rd principle, be radically open-minded. To put that into practice, he created a culture of what he calls radical transparency. The idea is fantastic. Get unfiltered, honest feedback from everyone to find the truth and make the best decisions. But, the reality can be pretty harsh. Imagine being told exactly what you're doing wrong all day, every day. Even if it's meant to help, it can really hurt morale.
And this isn't just a theory. Back in 1993, his own leadership team sat him down and gave him this exact feedback. They straight up told him, your honesty is making people feel incompetent and belittled. It was a huge wake-up call that he wasn't really living by his 4th principle, that people are wired differently. What felt like helpful directness to him felt like a personal attack to his team. He realized he needed a better system.
And that led to one of his most famous innovations, believability-weighted decision-making. It's a powerful idea. Basically, not all opinions should carry the same weight. The system gives more weight to the opinions of people who have a proven track record of being right in that specific area.
It's a way to get past egos and job titles and just focus on who's the most believable, who has the expertise.
But we have to look at both sides of the coin here. This system is intense, and it is absolutely not for everyone. Some people who've left Bridgewater have described the culture as a cauldron of fear and intimidation. It just goes to show that even if the principles are solid, putting them into practice is messy and can be really tough if it doesn't match how you're wired.
So, okay, what's the takeaway for us? I mean, most of us aren't running a $16 billion hedge fund. The key, I think, is to stop seeing these as strict rules you have to follow, and instead see them as tools you can adapt to build your own personal compass.
And that's really the perfect way to think about it. A map gives you a predefined route. It tells you exactly where to turn. But a compass just points you north. It helps you get your bearings so you can navigate your own path. These principles are your compass. They point you toward truth, but you still have to make the journey yourself.
So where do you even start? It's simple. Start small. Don't try to do everything at once. Just pick one principle, maybe embrace reality, and try to live by it for a week. But the most important thing you can do is what Dalio did after his big failure. Write it down. Document your decisions. Write down what happened. It's an incredibly powerful way to force yourself to be honest.
At the end of the day, these principles aren't just ideas in a book. They were forged in a massive failure and battle-tested over decades to build incredible success. They're real tools for dealing with reality. So the only question left is, what are you going to build with them?